Our school and apparatus. The Montessori method of education encourages self-directed learning through exploration. We help children learn through a variety of specially developed Montessori apparatus that are designed to help them learn and master difficult concepts and life skills. The apparatus help the children to work independently and also control their own errors with minimal adult intervention, and in the process aims at the holistic development of the child. The Montessori apparatus are largely categorized into exercises of practical life, sensorial, language, arithmetic. Today, we are going to give you all a glimpse of our Margaret Montessori House's curriculum and how we are constantly trying to carry forward the legacy of Dr. Montessori with pride. Exercises of practical life. These activities aim at making the child independent and socially responsible. Dressing frames are used as EPL apparatus that enable the children to take care of themselves in refinement of fine motor movement, to be independent and confident. Some of the frames that children work with are coat button frame, press button frame, ribbon frame, velcro frame, zip frame. Through the frame activities, they master life skills of taking care of oneself and emerge as a confident individual. Other EPL activities like cutting vegetables, rolling chapati, prepare the child to face the real world and indirectly strengthening their pencil grip and preparing them for writing. The next category is the sensorial apparatus. These apparatus aim at developing and strengthening our five senses, namely tactile by touching, visual by seeing, auditory by hearing, olfactory by smelling, and gustatory by tasting. For creating dimensional awareness and refining visual and tactile senses, some activities are introduced like the cylinder blocks. Here the child matches the cylinders with the corresponding sockets by touching and seeing. Pink tower. The child arranges the cubes from the biggest to the smallest, thus understanding dimensional differences and gradation. Long stairs. This is done by serrating the rods from longest to shortest, thus the difference in length is understood by the child. Some extent of this activity is formation of the rectangular and triangular mazes, which heightens the child's interest as he tiptoes through the maze. The chromatic awareness of the child is taken care of with the color boxes 1, 2, and 3, where they learn not only the names of the colors, gradation, and also associating the colors to the objects around. Constructive triangles. The knowledge of geometry is instilled in the child at this tender age through constructive triangles. Here, The child forms different types of polygons with triangles of different or same sizes. Language. Montessori language materials are designed primarily for the children to have a firm grasp of writing and speaking. Children use language materials to explore letters, sounds, and eventually spelling and writing, and also increase their vocabulary. The phonetic approach of language learning in Montessori begins with the sandpaper presentation of sounds. The child is introduced to a written symbol of letters in the alphabet corresponding to their phonetic sounds and traced in the directionality of writing. Here the child uses his tactile, visual, and auditory senses to create a permanent image of the letter in his memory. The movable alphabet box. Moving further in language development, the movable alphabet box is introduced as a pre-reading activity. This box contains wooden cutouts of letters, pink for the consonants and blue for the vowels. Here, an object or picture of an object is placed and the child forms the words by decoding the individual sounds of the word with the letters from the movable alphabet box, thus helping the child to identify the individual sound, proper placement of sounds, hence avoiding errors in spelling, enhance their vocabulary, and the child finally is moving from concrete learning to abstract learning. Vernacular learning forms an integral part of language development. For learning the vernacular languages also, the same method is adopted using the Bengali movable alphabet box for Bengali, where they form words, identify the letters and sounds, and is being able to form words with the letters from the movable alphabet box. Similarly, for Hindi, we have the Hindi movable alphabet box having the same color code. Next in the category comes the arithmetic apparatus. The arithmetic apparatus in Montessori makes the child think logically, does quantification, learns sequencing, hierarchy, and the basic operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Number rods. Here the child arranges the rods in sequence from rod of 1 to rod of 10, associating the quantities with their names and further to their written symbols. Counting pegs. Here again, understanding quantities and associating with their written symbols. The arithmetic decimal system is introduced with the static golden bead materials. Golden bead materials are introduced to make the child understand the concept of hierarchies, where single beads represent ones or units, a bar of 10, a square of 100, and a cube of 1000 are used to understand the hierarchies. The child here gets a prominent visual memory of how quantities increase with the change in their hierarchies. Next comes the static cards. Gradually, the child is introduced to the written symbols of different hierarchies, giving importance to the number of zeros as the hierarchy change and also forming numbers with different hierarchies. Hence, the child moves from concrete to abstract. The Sego frames. Through Sego frames 1, a child is introduced to the traditional names of numbers 11 to 19 and associating with their quantities. And Sego frame 2, the child is introduced to numbers 21 to 99 with their quantities and corresponding written symbols. This is how the child gets prepared to face the traditional schools and the brick of foundation is being laid. Thank you.